Good afternoon. So I'm glad to see all these happy faces on this sunny day. How exciting. I've got some announcements for you. Hopefully everybody in this building is aware that we have the awards breakfast that's happening at the Best Western on Wednesday, March 9th at 9 a.m. Everybody's welcome to attend. We're just asking that you RSVP so we can get some numbers. There's plenty of the Sign Up Genius links out there. If you have any questions, please let me know. We also are going to have an agent mixer hosted by Tim Stratton from Cross Country. That'll be on March 10th, Thursday at Da Vinci's. So please mark your calendars. Finally, we have our big spring fling dinner and dancing that's going to happen at the Alamance Country Club. This is in place of our January that got canceled due to snow and COVID. Again, we ask that you RSVP. We ask for no children. This is a adult only party, agents plus a guest. Party. So there again, just please use the Sign Up Genius. There's two different links. One's for the awards breakfast. One is for the spring fling. If you got any questions, reach out. We'll be glad to help you. Finally, bucket fills. There's got to be some gratitude in this house. Anybody got bucket fills they'd like to give? And Zoom, yes, please. Zoom is welcome to join. Anybody that has gratitude or any bucket fills they like to do, just simple gratitude is okay too. It doesn't have to be to a certain someone. There's got to be some gratitude in this house. I just know there is. No, Carrie.
I want to say thank you to the agents that are always so willing to do open houses because I can't stand doing them. I'm just saying. And so Amy Klutz did one for us this weekend. As well as both houses went under contract. Thank you.
Yes. Carrie is grateful to those agents out there willing to do open houses because she doesn't like doing them. And Amy Klutz did one for her and Madeline did one for her, and both are under contract. So she's thankful for that. Anybody else? Come on, there's got to be gratitude, right? How sad. No gratitude. Thank you, Anthony.
I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to just give gratitude to Ashley, who met me when I came over. Everyone else was at family reunion. She really just embraced me and helped me kind of get my feet on the ground here. So Ashley, I want to shout you out and thank you.
Awesome. We're grateful for her. All right.
I second that too. She was great. Ashley was great last week when all of you other leadership were gone because she really stepped up. She's awesome.
What's that? Is that totally. All right, so our wonderful sponsor today is the Hazar team. He's going to come up and speak. They've got some great exciting news to share, and we're very thankful for lunch. You're welcome. Oh, sorry, Sandra. Hang on 1 second. We got gratitude.
Hi, I wanted to give one to Darshan Ivy. She took me out. She helped me get myself off of a cliff. I was in a purchase for myself and it just did not go well. And she talked me off a ledge. So I appreciate Darshan Ivy.
Anybody know this guy?
Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to reintroduce myself. I'm Anthony Hazar, in case you guys don't know me or hear me. I got my team, lovely team, Susan and Shireen in the back with us now too. What we wanted to do was just come up and talk a little bit today. We've been working on some land and working on some projects. So the first project, Heartland Estates, we've got 4 lots coming in there. They range from 1.1 acres to 2.2 acres. It's right near Indian Valley. So if you guys are familiar with Alamance County, they're all in Western schools. Both projects are in Western schools. This first one has, the first one, like I said, has 4 lots. So those homes are going to be ranging from 1,700 to 2,400 square feet. I tried to put the house plans in front of you guys. If you guys are interested in the house plans or to see the plat, let me know and we can send over a PDF copy to you guys so you're not having to share this or scan this to your clients. So the second subdivision, Pelini Place, it's also in Western schools. It'll have 20 lots though. That's going to be around 3/4 of an acre each. Biggest difference is Pelini Place has city water and septic. Heartland Estates will be well and septic. But similar, same house plans of what you're going to be seeing at Heartland Estates versus what you're going to be seeing at Pelini Place. Other than that, we were just happy to get something coming back towards Western schools. We were having trouble like everybody else, no inventory. So we decided, let's go make our own inventory. So that's kind of how we got not drug into it, but that's how we kind of made that leap. And we have partnered with the builder that we build or we sell for him. Anything that he builds, we sell for him across the state. We sat down and we talked about different house plans, what the area needed, what the buyers are wanting. And we took it from a straight buyer's perspective. So as you can see, house plans up here, I know it's probably small on the screen, but you've got good house plans or good floor plans. The elevation is really, really appealing. You got split bedroom floor plan. And then it's always going to tie back into our lender. So we brought our preferred lender that the builder has always used, Adam Moore with Movement Mortgage. He is offering some builder incentives. So I'll let him come up and do a little talking about that. She asked where Pelini Place is going to be at. Pelini Place is going to be right near Gibsonville Ossipee. So if you got, I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. Elon Ossipee, Gibsonville Ossipee, down 87. What's that? I got city water, not city sewer. Adam, thank you.
No problem.
Price points on the 4 homes. The first 4 that we're doing is going to be 350 to 5. The other 20 is going to be around 3 to 450.
So this is by far in the last year of all my speaking stuff is seeing the most people in one room. I think. By far. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So one of the things that we did here, and it is a little broad, but we wanted to give you a little bit of knowledge because everything that you have to do right now, you are competing very heavily against somebody else, right? So there are some tools for you guys to use for your buyers in these packets that Anthony was also handing out. So we did price points from the 350 all the way to 500,000 to represent the home cost for these, but there's some good knowledge for you guys because right now you're having to encourage your buyers to go well over an asking price. And the first thing they're saying is, can I recoup this? And what's my loss in this? So the good news is, obviously you guys probably know this area here and all the triad is probably one of the most popular and also probably one of the most popular on the East Coast. So you guys are going to be busy for quite a while. So your buyers are going to have to get into their head that they're going to have to stretch yourself even further, unfortunately, to be competitive. And that's not a comfortable situation to really talk to them about. So we have to show them. And so this kind of data that we're handing out to you allows you to see the advantages of them going ahead and being aggressive now versus waiting. They may not necessarily be renting right now, but every day that they sit and say that they're going to wait on this market, the worse it's going to get for them. Right now, there's probably about a 60% supply to the demand in the marketplace, and that's going to continue to get worse most likely as we get to the third quarter. So for us, we all rely on homes being sold. And so we have to be aggressive with our buyers, teaching them what the tools they need to be aggressive now before it's too late. Anybody have any questions about lending or anything that I may be able to answer? You guys probably have tons of resources, but happy to answer any kind of market rates. Do I? I think I didn't see this morning, but they're averaging right around 4%. You can get into the 3s for sure. 15 years about in the mid 3s. We do think, well, and so a lot of things have come up in the sense with the Ukraine invasion has thrown a little bit of a wrench in a lot of market analysis, but we do think that if the Fed is smart and they do increase the Fed fund rate by at least 1% in the next couple meetings, that's going to help actually push rates back into the mid threes, probably maybe in the lower threes as we get to the fourth quarter next year. If anybody looks at the trends or has been in this industry long enough, if you look at the trends for the last 20 years, as we probably head into a recession, which is just going to happen. It's not necessarily the economy's bad, but just because of GDP in the next year, you're going to see house prices continue to fight that and move in the opposite direction as the economy, which means they're going to keep going up. And that's going to probably stabilize rates. So that's a good thing for all of us. Affordability is still going to be there on that aspect. There's also some really, really cool graphs that I can send out to you that everybody talks about affordability in this marketplace. If you go back 10 years and say the average household was making roughly about $60,000 then, you know, the affordability was least back then, even at a 4% interest rate with the lower price points that they were 10 years ago than where they are right now. Average incomes have increased over 25% just in the last 5 years. So even though we're seeing the increase of prices considerably in the price ranges of homes, the affordability range for most people is still less than it was 10 years ago, or more than it was 10 years ago. So they're still able to buy more in this market than they were 10 years ago. Anything else?
Can you give us an idea of what sort of builder incentives will be offered?
Yeah, so in talking with foundation builders and Anthony, so right now we're going to be offering $2,500 directly to closing costs. That's not baked in credits. That's not anything. That's just straight on the top towards their costs they want for these particular homes.
Is this a construction mortgage or is this a?
No, yeah, so the builders.
Or is it a construction mortgage? Where it's just a builder?
Yeah, it's just going to be, the builder's going to cover it. And there's going to be a straight up purchase on top of that. We are offering, depending on when the builder starts to allow them to come on the market and go under contract, we are offering long-term rate locks. We have rate locks all the way up to 1 year, you know, as needed. So, and utilize this for a lot of things, but that's been the biggest question for a lot of buyers is like, you know, I don't want to miss out on these rates as they keep going up, and we don't know exactly where they're going to be. So that's always a kind of a volatile conversation, but essentially they can lock for up to 1 year. They'll put a deposit down, which helps secure that interest rate for that time period. And when they do get within 45 days of closing, they have the ability to do a float down to the current market. So if they lock in, let's say at 4.25, rates move down at the time to 3.25, they can directly go straight down for no cost.
What's the builder deposit?
I don't, oh yeah, I don't know what that is.
I didn't know if there was a certain amount. Was it
No,
refundable?
there's no certain amount, no percentage, no nothing like that. He does expect it, but it's not.
Awesome.
Heartland Estates.
Yes, hang on just a second, let's get the mic passed so that.
Those 4 lots at Heartland Estates, where are they gonna be at?
Heartland Estates is going to be right near Indian Valley. So Huff Funds, like the par 3, number 16 on the back. That,
Okay,
it's the road right there. It's actually, it's personal to us because that's where we're going to be building that as well. So that's the only lots that we have. Yep, right off on Huff Funds. Yes, we could be neighbor. On Huff Funds is 1.1 to 2.2 acres.
And that's the water, that's the well. effect.
Well and septic, yep. The ones that have city water and septic are 3/4 of an acre each.
Right.
Yeah, if anybody needs the plans or the plat, let us know and we can get a little list, or if anybody on Zoom,
Email it.
yeah,
Put it in the Facebook group under files.
Yeah.
Just saying.
that'd probably be easiest.
I think that'd be easier for you to just do that on Facebook.
If anybody else has any questions, you guys know where to find us. That's, oh, yes, and, do I need to take this stuff?
No, I'm loud.
Uh,
So can they make selections or are you doing like spec?
Everything it's gonna be spec, what we're going through. What we've been talking about is probably putting them on the market at the drywall phase. So that way buyers can see exactly what they're walking into. A lot of times when you show them, when you show them a house plan, they don't know what they're walking into. So I want to wait until we're at least through drywall phase.
Something they could offer before that.
And I will present it. That's all. All right. Good. No, I mean, no, yeah, you're right with the market. Yeah. And I'm sure that is going to happen. I'm sure.
Offers exclusive listings.
So, but if anybody has any questions, let us know. We're here. Thank you.
Anthony, thank you so much for sponsoring our lunch today. And thank you for the lender partner back there as well. If anybody would like more information, they can drop their card with you, I'm assuming, before they leave from Movement Mortgage and any potential builder incentives. And then if y'all want to get us that plat, we can shoot that out in the follow-up email with the meeting information. Be happy to do that. Thank you so much for creating some inventory. I can't tell you how happy I am about that. I love it. Let's all partner together and make more. All right. I want to present my lovely lady, Christy May.
Hey, y'all. If you're tired of hearing from me, get over it because it's not going to end. What's today? Okay, today's March 1st. It's Women's History Month. That's not what I'm talking about, but I just thought I'd tell you that. All right, y'all got to lighten up a little bit. I mean, come on. So as usual, next Thursday is our Realtor Luncheon, and I would like for all of you to be there to support me and support your association. Yes, we had the best attendance we have had in 2 years. So I do want to say a huge thank you to all of you. We had the biggest Keller Williams turnout we've had in a while. So thank you for that. Woohoo. And we also raised $2,200 for our pack, which is huge because our goal went up by like $3,000 this year. So I put this in the Facebook group, but if you give at least $25, for every $25 you give between now and March 15th, you're entered into a drawing. You could potentially win $5,000, and they're giving away $10,000 prizes. So yes.
So I won $1,000 last year. When I entered, I gave the argument. So I am one of those winners. So I just want to let you know that.
And Cindy Dudley won $1,000 last year. So she's saying it can be done. So all the more reason to give your $25. Anyway, thank y'all. Oh, real quick. April 8th, for those of you who don't know, so 2007 was our last Realtor Ball where you get to dress up, and it's kind of like going to prom all over again. But I mean, not really, but same concept. Anyway, so we're doing that April 8th. So y'all be sure to get your ticket. So we're going to have a great time.
Thank you. Thank you for representing us at such a high level, Chrissy May. Grateful for that. All right, we've got the productivity team in the house with some exciting stuff. You ladies want to come up and join me? Don't pass out, Darshan.
Usually when she asks me to talk, I just fall down.
So hi, I'm Darshan. Most of you know me. This is Mary. We're the coaches here. And so we just came back from family reunion and it was spectacular. What we did see was there were some market centers there with a huge turnout. So we want to start doing a fundraiser throughout the year this year so we can sponsor more agents to go next year to kind of help offset some of the cost. So starting at the next, whatever this is, team meeting, we're going to do 50-50 tickets. We'll be selling candy bar stuff, whatever. And if y'all think of something else, fundraiser wise, get a hold of us and let us know, because we want to bring as many as we can next year to Anaheim. Yeah. So that's where it'll be next year. So we want to see if we can get a huge turnout like some of the other ones did.
You hold that? Yeah, family reunion was spectacular. If you didn't go, if you didn't get a chance to see it online, it was amazing. Lots of knowledge picked up, lots of friendships built and relationships built across the markets. So it's a good thing. So in our PC department for the month of February, our coaching clients closed just under 12.5 million for the month. So their business is picking up, they're getting busy and they're excited to be there. So we'd really like to raise some of that money to send them to family reunion. Also, we started a contest today, so some of them may be reaching out to you guys to host some of your open houses because they're going to get points for that. So be gentle, be kind, share your open houses with them because they're trying to win some stuff. And that is what we've got going on for the month of February right now is the contest kickoff, or March. Sorry, it's my wedding anniversary today and I'm still in February and I forgot it until this morning.
Well, you don't have to be a brand new agent to be in productivity coaching. The goal of a coach is to help you identify the patterns that can drive your success. And it's a great starting point or a place to kickstart or get some insight that you wouldn't have otherwise had. All right, next up. Broker in charge, Teresa Brooks.
Don't get discouraged. I'm not coming with commission rules, license law, or anything like that today. I don't know, Cindy. Sometimes I wonder. But I'm here to announce that we are getting ready to do something exciting. We've had a lot of agents ask about selling commercial sales, buildings, and all that good stuff. So what we're going to do in April is have a commercial training done by our very own wonderful, can you guess? Margaret McCann, of course. So she's going to be doing a commercial training. Yeah, we're in March. So it's going to be in April. I'm working out the dates with her, confirming the dates. She's actually hopefully going to join us on our Glad You Asked. Tiffany, help me. March 10th.
March 10th.
Thank you, ma'am. March 10th. Hopefully she'll be able to be on Glad You Asked to get some questions and what you want in your training. So be on the lookout for that. So I promise no commission rules and license law.
Margaret is our new president.
Yes, she's president of the commercial board in Alamance. So congratulate her on that. Yay, Margaret. Yes, ma'am, Tammy.
For the commercial side of it, do you actually have to have a separate license from the?
Yeah, everybody, if you're a broker, you can sell commercial. You can sell anything. What do you mean here?
So you have a training.
Right. Correct. Thank you so much for that. Okay, real quick. Okay, I guess I will have to go to some rules for 1 second. It wasn't my doing, blame Tammy, because she asked. So if you are not a part of the commercial division within KW, we ask if you want to sell or list commercial, do it in conjunction with an agent who is, because there's E&O that's involved that we don't have in our typical standard E&O. So if you want to sell or list commercial, do it in conjunction with a commercial agent. If you don't know who they are, come see me. But you do know one now, right? Margaret McCann. Oh, Tammy's doing it to me again.
So after we go through the training.
Yes.
Then we can join the.
Yes, and you can join it before. Right. Yes, you still need to do it in conjunction with someone who knows what they're doing. Commercial is another beast, and I'll be quite honest. Exactly. Yep. Okay. And if you need the link, send an email to the broker in charge 832@gmail.com.
For that training.
Yes.
How do we sign up for that?
For the training, just be when we send it out, you'll be able to register for it. No charge for it. At least I don't think there is. It's going to be free, something that Margaret's going to offer to our market center. Now, if she's presenting materials that there's a charge for, that may change, but at this point, it's free. So register and sign up. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
So BOLO for commercial class information. If you sign up with the segment through KW, there is an application process, and you've got to identify somebody that you'll be mentoring with during that time. And then, as Carrie stated, you've got 12 months from that point to complete the training. So great information. Awesome. There is, yes, to be a part of the segment, there is a fee. Yeah, and tons of resources and new materials coming out with that. Next up is Emily Allred. Adam, we see you on there. We'll be talking soon. I know everybody's here to hear about Adam's story.
Yes, for sure. Okay, I have a few announcements to bring up. Good news for those who are keeping up with our wonderful, lovely Kim Baber. She received news that there's no residual cancer in her affected area. We're super thankful for that. In that case, we are selling t-shirts to the Market Center to help raise money to help with her expenses in the Sunshine Committee Fund. So they look like this. We are, and then on the back, KW Central. So they are $25. We have a limited supply right now, but we're taking orders. So anybody who's interested, we can put it on your office bill, or you can pay us directly.
Great conversation starter. So every time I've had this shirt on, I've had somebody come up and say, we are, and I go, oh, KW Central MC. So wonderful way to start conversations.
Absolutely. Okay, so got a few sad stories to share and some good stories to share. For those who do not know, this Friday is Ashley Mount's last day with Keller Williams. We are very sad, would love, but we wish her the best and know she's going to excel. She's going back to the corporate banking world, which I just know she's going to kill. So in that regard, we also have a new team member. Sorry. Did not mean that. Executive team member, Russ Alvis has joined us. He is the new MCA for the Market Center. So, you've probably seen him in Ashley's office. He's training hard and he's going to do great. Finally, I have been given an exciting opportunity within the Market Center. So I am stepping off of the leadership team. So I will be moving on at the end of this month, and I'll still be around, and I love all of you. You're very important to me, and you're my KW family. So just wanted to share the news, try to keep everybody in the know. So yay. I think that's it. On to Adam. Sorry.
So one of the things in the KW Central legacy is that we grow amazing people in lots of different directions. We've got people up on the regional level. We've got people at the international level, coaching levels, and super excited for Emily and the new role that she is going to take on. Ashley, I'm sure we'll be in contact if you need a commercial banking person, if you've got her information, and I'm still banking on we'll get her back one day. And then Russ, welcome to the team. Happy to have you here, and look forward to what the next year is going to bring. Adam, where you at, friend?
I'm right here. Can you hear me well?
All right, so I'm convinced I can hear you well, and I'm absolutely convinced that all of these folks today showed up just for you.
No pressure.
Adam has been a longtime friend of mine. We kind of got into the real estate world at the same time. He went the investment route. I went the residential sales route, and I'm happy to be able to share his wealth with you today. So tell us something right off the bat that we wouldn't know by reading your bio or looking up your YouTube videos or reading your book on Amazon.
Oh my goodness. Fear of failure drives me. That's something that I've never put anywhere out there in the public view, but the fear of failing drives me like a wildfire. Yeah. That's kind of heavy to start off. I wasn't ready for that
Yeah.
question out the gate, but thank you, Ariel.
No, that's great. That's great. And this was unscripted. I meant to catch him off
Yes,
guard with that. So,
very much so.
so tell us what you're doing and tell us how it started.
So yeah, I'm investing in real estate in Clarksville, Tennessee. Been investing since about 2014. We have a unique way that we buy houses and a unique way that we got to where we are today. I'm prior U.S. Army. I was in U.S. Army Special Forces from until about 2018 when I quote unquote retired myself. Back in 2014, I returned from Afghanistan, had a little bit of deployment money, started my business, went down to Nashville and with a seminar, ate up everything they told me. I loved it. Really, really enjoyed the thought of being financially free and passive income and all those buzzwords that really get you hooked. So you spend money. And I was that guy. I spent the money, got hooked, and realized very quickly after I had bought into a $30,000 program that real estate is not easy. And there's no guarantees when you buy into anything. So it was sink or swim. There were at least 4 families, including my family, my wife and I, that went down to Nashville for those seminars, spent that much money. And I'm from Clarksville, at least 4 from Clarksville. And we got back to Clarksville after a year. We all kind of met up again, and I was the only person that even bought one house after spending that amount of money. I say that because it's not the programs and it's not the resource and all that. At the end of the day, the individual has to take responsibility and go out there and make things happen, period. So started flipping houses. That's what's sexy. That's what's on TV. And that's very challenging, to say the least. We flipped my first house. I made every single mistake you can make. I did everything wrong, overpaid, made a Class C house, tried to make it a Class A house. That's the wrong answer. So learn from my mistakes. When I got my real estate license down in Nashville, come back up to Clarksville, I think in 2015. I met with 2 brokers, interviewed really well, got hired. Both of them said they'd hire me on the spot. And I told both of them, I kind of wanted to take a minute to see my options and that kind of stuff. The second gentleman that I interviewed with, he said, "You're hired on the spot." And I said, "Again, thank you." And he saw my vehicle. And at the time I had on the back glass, I had Johnson Property Investments, we buy houses and that kind of stuff. And this is 2015 in Clarksville. I'm not sure of the current legalities and that kind of stuff as far as realtor and investors. But at the time, the gentleman told me that I had to take that off of my vehicle, because at that point, if I were to work under his brokerage, everything I did would have to go through him. And I said, "That's fine." I said, let me think about it. We had 2 houses. The house we lived in, I had one rental property at the time that my family had lived in for a couple of years. So not really investing for buy and holds at this point. Went back home, talked to my wife, and I realized that did not quite align with what we had envisioned for us. So long story short, got my realtor license and never hung it with a broker.
He ruined it for me because I tried to recruit you on more than one occasion.
Man, Ariel, if everything had aligned, I'd be more than happy to work with Keller Williams. You guys do a great thing. I'm listening to y'all's coaching right now and kind of the presentations up front. I'm like, y'all are really squared away. So that's the kind of organization I want to be attached to if I were to be a realtor.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. So long story short, about a year later, I was always getting phone calls from bandit signs. We buy houses and all that kind of stuff. People would always call, but the problem was that to flip houses, you need a good amount of equity. Obviously, that's where you make your money, buy low, sell high. Well, the majority of the phone calls that I was receiving was, "Hey, Adam, we just, we're leaving in 3 or 4 months. We've only had our house for a year. And back in 2015, the housing market was not appreciating 10, 12% every 6 months. That was not happening back then. Generally speaking, in Clarksville, a homeowner would have to hold their home for about 3 to 5 years so that the home would appreciate enough to be able to pay closing costs, realtor fees, and such. So long story short, I told about 100 people I couldn't help them because I couldn't flip that house. I started digging and talked to other investors in the area, and I uncovered the subject to method, which I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that method, but I'm able to purchase properties subject to the mortgage staying in the seller's name. The deed transfers ownership to my business. The mortgage stays in the seller's name, and I then pay Wells Fargo, PennyMac, or whoever directly and indefinitely. When I figured that out, we started buying 3 or 4 houses a month, 7 houses in 1 month, 4 houses in 1 day. We quickly went from 6 or 7 houses. My wife quit her job, came on board to help us out, and took over a lot of the admin portion to free me up for the acquisition portion, because at the time I was still in the Army. I was still playing Army. And I don't know if you've ever heard Special Forces, we're pretty busy unit, pretty busy group of guys doing a lot of stuff. So trying to play Army, play Special Forces, and also talk to people nights and weekends, it really beat me down, to say the least. So my wife came on board, freed me up for that portion. And we went from 7 houses to 20 houses in about 5 months, from 20 to 27 in 2 months. And we just started buying houses. At our peak, we had 40. And we sold a few, which, by the way, I regret every house I've ever sold because of this market right now. Every house I ever sold. So to date, we have just under 40 properties. We have 23 Airbnbs that we own 22 of those, and we're picking up 2 more Airbnbs Thursday. So we'll have 25 Airbnbs in our area. And I'm thankful that I was in the Army. The Army taught me systems. It taught me personnel management. It taught me leadership. And we do what we do, and we love it. Right now, I'm talking to you guys from almost across the country. I'm in pajama bottoms, and I'm just happy and comfortable where I am, you know.
So Adam, there's 2 things that you've taught me along the way, and I'd love for you to speak on your mindset around money. The first thing being that has just stood out to me ever since you said it: sitting money is dead money.
Yes.
I love that one. And then the other one is that the government can't tax debt. So
Exactly.
talk about those 2 points for me real fast, if you will.
So yeah, so we all know that equity sounds great, and people will beat their chest saying, you know, I have $80,000 of equity in my house, blah blah blah. And to me, as an investor, that is dead money. That's money sitting there losing value with this inflation. So I feel no need to be sitting on tons and tons of equity for the sense of saying that I have such and such. That money should always be working. If you have tons of equity, make that money work for you. And right now, if you guys own your houses, depending on many factors, don't get me wrong, if I was sitting on tons of equity, I'd be making it work right now. And as far as debt is not taxed, I read lots and lots of books from investors, specifically real estate. And I learned that one way that rich people stay rich and never work is that they build a business like we have, or they have a decent amount of assets, and they just simply borrow that money off that equity, cash out, refi, whatever you want to call it. And if I can cash out, refi 20 houses and have $1 million in my hands, that $1 million is not taxed because it's debt. My tenants are paying that money back. And that's what rich people do. They literally do that over and over. Every 5, 6, 7 years, they'll cash out, refi on a business or an asset or something of that nature and live off that debt that's not taxed. And while your business, while your tenants, while all that kind of, while they're paying for your living expenses, it's a unique and beautiful way to provide a service and have that service provide your lifestyle.
It's a completely different way to think about it, huh?
Yep.
So tell me, I know that there's some questions spinning in the room, and I'm going to give you a chance to kind of get your minds wrapped around them. And then I want to open the floor for question and answers. Tell me, if I have no idea what you're talking about and subject to is like speaking a different language, and I wanted to start doing what you're doing tomorrow, where would I start?
Well, subject to is a different language. As I said, I went and got my realtor license, and at no point did they mention any of that kind of stuff. Even today, as I talk to realtors and I tell them how I can benefit them with this technique, they never heard of it. So I have to, but anyway, here's the easy, for people like me, kindergarten breakdown. So generally speaking, you have 2 vehicles. You have a deed which shows ownership and a mortgage which shows financial responsibility. They're not the same. They don't have to have the same people deed and mortgage. Okay. So when I talk to a seller, whether it be that they can't afford payments, they're behind on payments, they can't afford repairs, whatever the case may be, they cannot.
Sometimes they just want out. They just want out. Easy button.
It can be they're tired of dealing with tenants. I bought houses with tenants in them already. It can be whatever the case. There's many reasons a person they're tired of it, or they are dealing with this property. I'm able to, again, have the deed transferred from them to my business, Johnson Property Investments, and then I pay that mortgage, that $1,000, that $1,500 a month directly and definitely to the mortgage company. It is that simple. Again, the deed shows ownership. The deed transfers from previous homeowner to our business, Johnson Property Investments, and then the mortgage stays in the seller's name, and then we begin making mortgage payments on their behalf directly to the bank. There's more details, but it's literally that simple.
Okay, so question that I have, because I love the way that you answer this. What if somebody goes, you can't do that?
They
It
always
says
do.
in our closing paperwork, you can't do that. What does Adam
So,
do?
yep, so 99.997 mortgages that are written say they have a due on sale clause, and we're very upfront with all of our sellers, letting them know that this is a possibility. And this is, I'm not a salesy kind of person. I give it to them straight. I tell them that the banks, one, I've never had a bank call a mortgage due on sale clause due. Never seen that, never had. I've been threatened by Wells Fargo one time, but the banks are in
And what
business to make
happened?
money. Nothing. I told them straight up, I was upfront, like, the reason I have this house, Mr. Wells Fargo, whoever it was an attorney at the time, is because the previous homeowner couldn't afford the payments and they were getting ready to go into default. I called them back up. I've been making every mortgage payment at that point about 17 months or so. We still have that house today, 6 years later. So, but the banks are in business to make money, not for any other reason. So if they were to call a note due and the house going to foreclosure, you and I know, we all know that the houses don't go from foreclosure to a new homeowner in 1 month. It can take 12 to 18 months for the house sitting on the market vacant without them receiving any interest payments, any principal payments. And that's not what they're in business for. So I simply told Wells Fargo that I'm going to continue making mortgage payments on the first in full. And that was it. They tried, they did a little scare tactic or whatever, and the rest is history. And we're still making payments today. The banks want their money. It's that simple.
And Wells Fargo said, yes, sir. Can I have another?
Yep. That they received the
Tiffany,
next month payment and never said nothing else.
that's right. Tiffany, I think we were on the same brain wave at that point. Did that answer your question? Okay. Yeah. So it's a willingness to think creatively, to not only think outside the box, but to be outside the box and think, and do things a way that's different than has been done before. What other
Absolutely.
questions do you have? All right, hang on just a second. We got some questions in the crowd.
This is fun.
Smaller banks, when they get bought out by regulated banks, they have done that where they call them due. Dave Ramsey went bankrupt off that, his first bankruptcy. They considered him over leveraged. So definitely look at your leverage ratio on that.
Thank you. We've never had any issues with lots of times a smaller mortgage, like as you're saying, they'll be purchased or sold or bought out, or just in general, mortgages that are originated by such and such will be sold to the bigger companies. It's never an issue. We have a POA from the seller. If we ever need to act on their behalf, as far as establishing login information and set up automatic payments and those types of things, those are part of my 6 documents that go with each transaction. We've never had an issue with that. And in the event a note was ever called due, being that in this market, the houses are appreciating so drastically, it'll be no problem to go and get a commercial loan to cover that. But I'm not doing that ever unless I have to, because as you said, over leverage. As of right now, my debt to income ratio is ridiculous because none of the debt is mine, but the income is mine. So as things develop in real estate, we're always proactive and reactive. I'm always trying to learn the next big move or the next type of way of creative, acquisition or finance. But at the end of the day, we're also got to be reactive to all the changes as well with our attorneys, and we'll make sure that they're on top of everything. My CPA is always, finding out or being ready for the next new tax change and that kind of stuff. So we're very proactive. And if that were to happen, we take care of it.
I like it. Well, all right, we got tons of questions flowing in. Emily, I'm going to start with you and then I'll jump over, and then we've got some on Zoom as well.
So are most of the houses that you buy, you're just paying off their existing mortgage? There's no additional money? Like you're not
Correct.
making, if they only owe 50,000, you're just paying 50,000?
Correct. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we would never pay over or pay the seller on top of that. Now, let me not say never. The monthly mortgage payment only goes to the to the mortgage company. I don't see any additional to the previous owner, none of that kind of stuff. Generally speaking, if we acquire a property and at the beginning of the dialogue, we identify that they do have, let's say they have $20,000 of equity. I'm going to cash them out on some of that. Like no one is just going to give me a house with their equity spread in that. So that's part of the negotiating terms and part of the fact finding up front. I have a seller questionnaire that I send them before as the initial process. And that seller questionnaire, a lot of those questions, all those questions kind of help me build the profile for that property and how we can best assist that seller, because there is no cookie cutter way to buy houses, even subject to every seller, every house has a different family situation, work situation, you name it. We all deal, we're all in the business of working with people. So there are no two people that have the exact same background, resources, you name it. So every house gets a different attention. Every house gets different, I guess, opportunities, because subject to is our main bread and butter, but we also have lease options. We have lease, sublease. We have a few unique ways to help people out in a time of need, not just one way.
So you customize it to
Yes.
to the situation. All right, Richard.
Absolutely.
So first of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
So when you're buying these properties, the mortgage is still in the quote unquote seller's name. How do you convince them that you're going to continue to make payments for them and they're not going to default?
Okay, great question. So I tell people up front that they are still quote unquote financially responsible. However, I'm legally responsible because we write a contract, and my contract states that 1 March 2022, you will never again make a mortgage payment on this property. At this point, it's my property. So in the event I were to default and don't pay that mortgage, yes, they should take me to court. And I tell them I have lots of houses in Parksville. I have a lot to lose. So I have more reason to make every payment every time because that's what we agree to in our contracts.
So I hear it comes down to relationship, ultimately.
Very
to
much so.
relationship.
Very much so, yes.
And reputation.
Yes.
All right, I think we've got a couple questions on Zoom. What is it? All right. Do you pay the seller anything up front, or do they just sign them over?
The majority of the properties we purchased sub two, they have little to no equity. So no, we don't pay them anything up front. It's the ones that do have, we worked a deal with a lady one time that she had a very large amount of equity. She just wanted to be done with it. So I very gladly paid for her deposit for her next rental and the first 2 months of rent. I was very happy to help her get out of that property so we can get in there and do what we have to do. But generally speaking, the majority of our sellers have little to no equity, or they can't afford repairs or other things that would make this a non-traditional transaction. So usually, no, we don't pay up front. Usually, no.
So I'm going to head back to Tori for a question, then I'll head up to Tammy. Tell us about the time while I'm walking back there that you were cash flowing before you actually even closed.
So there's been quite a few times where we've been able to purchase a property, and let's say that the closing is 21 days from now. If I in my contract stipulate that we can have early occupancy, I'll get tenants in there. I've done that many times because, as we all know, time is money. And if I'm about to have to front this mortgage payment, I need someone in there ASAP. So that again, that's also many factors involved. Is the house ready? Are the people, are they local? A lot of my sellers are military, so they've kind of already moved out of the area. But yeah, many times we've been cash flowing net positive before we ever close on the property.
Awesome. Here's Tori.
So how does the seller move forward if that debt is still attached to them? How do they go forward and buy another house or move on with their life if they're
Great question.
continuing to, have this mortgage outstanding?
Yep, great question. The majority of our sellers have went on to buy new houses and or build their own houses. What we do in the event that a person's going for that next mortgage, and I always tell them have the mortgage company contact me directly. And what I'll do is I'll send them a printout from our QuickBooks showing that property that we've made every single mortgage payment since 3.5 years ago, whatever the case may be. So that, and they also provide them with our closing docs as well. So they show the mortgage company that I'm legally responsible. I have the history showing that I've been paying every mortgage payment for the last 3.5 years. So it doesn't count against our debt to income ratio. We've had lots of sellers that the first bank has an issue with that. I always tell them, go to the next bank, go to the next bank. Navy Federal is a really good one that we've worked with a few times with our sellers that we purchased their home sub two, and then they went to buy this next house. Navy Federal contacts me, and very understanding, they get the concept and they move forward with providing the mortgage for the previous seller.
Such good information. So I'm moving up to Tammy, and then we've got a couple other questions in the house. We've got about 10 more minutes. If you like what you're hearing today, Adam has a course available. It's relatively inexpensive, and he's also got a book on Amazon. I'll pop that in the chat link, and we'll get that in the follow-up information out for you as well. the thing that I love is that he comes from contribution, and like he said, he spent $30,000 to learn these, well, to not learn the tricks
Exactly.
of the trade and to create his own system. And he's willing to provide that to you for much, much less.
Mhm.
I was just gonna say, when we had him for ALC, one of the most interesting thing was, you have all these properties, but he also does an awesome job on the tenant side and getting it filled. I just thought maybe he could touch upon that just a bit.
Yeah, thank you. Go for it.
Fantastic question. That's one of the most important parts, but never asked about is getting that great tenant or filling that tenant spot. I'll say like many people in most industries, we made a lot of our mistakes the first couple of years, not knowing, not having the systems, not understanding a lot of factors that go along with finding that great tenant. Since then, we've refined our standard operating procedures, SOPs, as far as what qualifies us for a tenant. And being that the market is so hot, that helps, because where we used to just, I needed someone to fill that spot, I only had 3 or 4 or 5 houses. And when the less amount of houses you have, the more you need every penny of that rent. When you have 10, 12, 15 houses, if one house goes vacant for 1 month, you're okay because the other ones cover that and then some. But when you're kind of starting out, you need someone to fill those spots. So we made all of our mistakes the first 2 or 3 years, bad tenants, evictions, you name it. But moving forward, it's the SOPs, it's having high standards. One thing that we learned as far as tenants and is with the smaller, is just, I don't want to offend anybody, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. With these smaller homes, we have the less rental amount, we have the worst people. For whatever reason, the lower the rental amount, in my experience, is harder for that person to make that payment. There's lots of life decisions that go into that, as a psychological aspect that goes into that as well. So what we decided to do is, all of my small houses are now Airbnbs. They're not getting run down. Everything is being paid for. They're being maintained and this and that. So what you'll learn if you do similar to what we do is you'll learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And if you keep doing what doesn't work for you, what do you expect? So we had to kind of make a change, and thank God Airbnb is a thing, and we get triple the profit off of Airbnb houses, and we don't have terrible tenants. It's a great thing.
I'm a fan of Airbnb as well. I had some questions over here. I'm not sure who had them. Sorry, Maddie, didn't mean to stand on top of you.
I did have a question. So you learned a lot about subject to, and I know that you have a YouTube videos and your Amazon book, but what was your best resource that you learned the most about this process?
So I found, I was talking to other investors in the area, and I said, well, who's your attorney? Who does your subject to closings? I went right to that attorney, made that relationship, asked those questions, and I got from him the exact mechanics, the exact documentation, the exact legalities, and all that kind of stuff. From having that, I felt no pressure. I felt like I was ready to go out there in the world and start doing this. So to answer your question, my attorney, and knowing right and wrong, left and right limits of what is and what is not possible, is what set us up for success. And then after that, it just becomes sales. Even with subject to, I didn't start out killing it. I purchased my very first sub two. I over promised. I didn't negotiate great terms. I was in that house that had no equity, and I had to replace a $3,000 flooring and a few other things. As I got better and refined my processes with dealing with subject to sellers, knowing what I know now, I would have negotiated that seller would have paid me that $3,000 back over the next 6 or 9 months. I would have structured it better where I wasn't losing up front on those houses. Now, today, we don't pay for houses. They pay us to take over their houses, and we're never in a bad position from the first day. That's not how we buy houses anymore. We buy houses that are either net positive immediately or no more than about 6 months, like net positive, period. I don't like, the 10% ROI. I don't like that. I like to have 1,000% ROI. I like to buy a house for $500 and have it make $3,000 that year. That's how we buy houses with subject to.
So a couple of things I'm hearing commonalities in that, leverage, that even though
Yes.
you're operating essentially solo, you've got a team around you of professionals that are highly skilled in the area that you need them to be skilled in. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in building your team. As a one-man show, I had a single point of failure. So anytime I failed, we failed, as the business failed. As I said earlier, when my wife came on board, we blew up. I realized, I forgot what book it was, The E-Myth. The E-Myth talks a lot about, if you haven't read The E-Myth, that's a phenomenal book by Michael Gerber. Talks a lot about building your team and building your business so that you can sell it. If you're a single person show, you can't sell anything because you can't sell your brain. If you have systems in place, and we're going to sell our business the next couple of years for a lot of money, and they're going to take our systems. They're not going to take my brain. They're not going to take me on as an advisor. We have our business set up right now to be handed over and plug and play. And that's from that book, Michael Gerber, from building a team, giving left and right limits, developing your SOPs, and letting your business work for you. My wife and I travel the country. We traveled the globe. We were in Africa last year for like 9 or 10 days and nothing stopped. The business kept working. We had my assistant in place. We had the handyman in place. Everyone had the numbers to call in the event X happened, SOPs. And that's how we coach that, we teach that, we preach that, and that's what we do within our business as well.
So I love how passionate you are about that. And I feel like that may come some from your military service as well, that if you fail, somebody dies. And when you look at that every day,
Absolutely.
you look at that every day, that's pretty impactful.
It really is. I tell people that my military background is why I have little to no fear in real estate, because no one dies. No one's going to die because I didn't get a deal. Like, there's no life and death. So I don't have that fear of someone telling me, no, I didn't get this sale, or someone, that's very impactful on my outlook talking to people and that kind of stuff. So yeah, very beneficial to come from where I come from.
Amanda Lynn, did you have a question? Okay. We have any other questions in the crowd? All right. What do you do for lead generation?
Social media is that easy. I do the corny Facebook post, the corny Instagram post, we buy houses. I do all that corny stuff, and I promise it works. I promise. I will say, as far as lead generation, realtors kill us. Y'all generate thousands of leads a month, and that's because, generally speaking, your average seller only knows to use realtors to buy and sell houses. So we're out there on social media. We're talking to people. We're putting door hangers on. We're knocking on doors, giving credibility packets. We're being proactive. We're putting out bandit signs. But again, the main ROI, the best ROI is social media. Facebook is free, and we have the majority of our leads. The majority of our leads come from Facebook, and then on top of that, our previous sellers, because we had such a great relationship and such a great interaction, they refer us to friends, and we've bought a few houses from second, third order effects of just treating people the right way.
So as we wrap up, one of the things that stood out to me over this market and the challenges that everybody has experienced except for Adam, is that 80% of sellers don't know what their home is worth. And I want to bring this full circle and explain how somebody like Adam and his business can be beneficial to you and your business. So one of the advantages we have as real estate agents is that we're one of the professions that essentially allows inside trading, right? If you see an opportunity, you can take it, and there's nothing that restricts you from that as long as everything's disclosed appropriately. Adam has helped me gain volume a few times along the way. If I've had a situation where I couldn't take it on and they wanted the easy button, sometimes they've got equity, and that's the challenge with our own mindsets, is that we put a lot of our own filter on other people's situations instead of just reaching out to them and asking them first. So stay open, make connections with people in your community, and look at things a different way. Is there anything that you want to say in closing, or do we have any final questions or comments?
If not, I do have something in closing. Any other last minute questions? All right.
We got one more question on the comments in Zoom. Hang on, let me get over to it. So is this method still working in this market when sellers can sell their properties for so much right now?
So it is less common, however, lease option, being that people do have more equity than they had 3, 4, 5 years ago. We are able to negotiate lease option terms, which are similar to subject to, I don't know, that's a different animal in itself, but we are able to find these deals, work a lease option contract or the rent to own is lease option. We all know that as real estate investors or professionals, but we are finding more lease option type of transaction versus subject to, because the equity is just growing so fast in a few months. So it's a different market. But as I said, as an investor, we have to be, proactive and reactive. We saw this coming and we kind of changed a lot of some of our messages on Facebook and that kind of stuff.
Well, and one of the things that I would like to add in there in my own experience is that when the housing market is strong, that's great. Everybody's happy. When the housing market is not strong, the rental market is.
Yes.
So the people that are gaining ground and gaining market share and gaining momentum right now are the ones that are going to carry through when a correction occurs, if and when that happens.
Yep.
All right,
Cool.
we're ready for your parting words, sir.
It's not much. It's not groundbreaking. I would just say I talk to realtors a lot, and I know you guys buy and sell houses with the best of them. The majority of the realtors I talk to they don't buy and sell houses for themselves. So at the end of the day, real estate it's going to keep growing, and I urge you guys to buy for you, not just everybody else. You don't need to have 50 or 100 houses, but 5 or 10 can go a long way in building your portfolio, creating a small empire, and really getting that nest egg. Because at the end of the day, my mission is financial freedom. It ain't about the number of houses. It ain't about the number of none of that kind of stuff. It's I want to cover my bills and not have to work unless I want to work. We invest for lifestyle purposes, not to be billionaires. That's not what we invest for. So when you guys come across all these ideas, before you call that investor, think, is there a way that we can monetize this? Can we come up with a creative solution? It may not be a traditional buy and sell as a realtor. It may be something that you take over, you lease, sublease, you sub to lease option. There's options out there outside of just buying and selling for other people.
Awesome. Adam, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was it. That was my whole parting words.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your wisdom. We've had over 70 people in attendance, both in person and on Zoom. In the comments section, we've got your book link posted directly to Amazon. We'll have that out in the meeting follow-up notes as well. And go find him on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Are you on TikTok yet?
I'm on TikTok. I'm not great, but I'm on TikTok.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I'm 38. That ain't for me, but I try.
Well, again, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, and look forward to connecting with you again.
Thank you, Ariel. I appreciate it. I'm always available anytime you want to have me on. Thank you guys so much.
Goodbye.